A podcast? Did your radio show get canceled?
Fire. Low down and filthy, but the discipline is on point. Schooled myself, made my own dojo. A cold flow with the whole dose of soul. Maintain composure, even in theory. An anomaly, properties undiscernible.
This week on The $1 Million Plan, we talk about how our financial lifestyles have changed over the last 20 or 30 years and why it is actually more difficult for, let's call them millennials or people in their 20s and 30s to deal with their money than it was for people who are now in their 40s and 50s or 50s and 60s to deal with their money when they were in their 20s and 30s. I'm so pleased this week to be joined by my friend, my right-hand lady on the mic, Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Pete.
So you come back to the office after a little bit of a long weekend. You were skiing in the Breck.
The Breck.
Breckenridge, for those unaccustomed to shortened city names. And you came back with facial injuries. Tell us about this, Nicole.
I did. So this was my first time going to Colorado with my boyfriend and his family.
Sure.
They go regularly and have since Zane was born.
Okay. His name is Zane.
His name is Zane.
Okay,
That
sure.
is my boyfriend's
Oh,
name.
boy, this is getting very personal.
I know. Oh, my gosh.
Like I had to Google things.
But so I'm going down my second run.
Sure. Ever
And
skiing.
My second run ever
Okay.
skiing. And a snowboarder comes around the right side of me and cuts me off. And his helmet wanted to meet my face badly enough that I collided my right eye with his helmet and got a cute little black eye that you can't really see.
Yeah, it's
too
healed
much
up.
of it, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty nice now. But yeah, that was my first experience.
Well, when I saw it on the gram, the IG, a
That
picture
IG.
posted of your face, Nicole, I looked at your face for the first time ever, and my reaction was, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it's healed nicely. This week on the show, again, we're talking about why things are a little bit more difficult than they were for previous generations. So here's the lowdown. We're gonna hit some of the differences. Next segment is all focused on online banking and why I think it is the one of the largest hindrances to financial health. I know, crazy there. And then segment 3, some tools and solutions. And I'm not one of the tools. All right, Nicole.
Yes.
How often have you thought about your financial realities in relation to maybe what your parents' financial realities were when they were your age? Do you think about these things?
Not really until we started kind of talking about this episode. I think just because technology has come along so much that I'm really used to my parents using online technologies for banking. But at the same time, like I've watched my mom balance a checkbook numerous times and I've never done that. So
What year do you think, oh man, I just did the math myself on this. And what year do you think you became a financial entity of your own? Do you think it was 16 years old or so?
yeah, because I was working enough then and
Yeah.
I was putting gas in my car and being responsible enough.
So this is 2011. Oh my God. Wow, are you like certified to work at this point?
I don't know. Ask our HR representative.
Oh my gosh. We do have a baby starting in the office this coming week. One of our coworkers coming back from maternity leave, and we are supporting the Bring Your Baby to Work program. So we have a new infant coworker who definitely is not certified to work.
But she is the VP of morale. So
Vice President of Morale will be here. She's got a nameplate. So Nicole, 2011. Let me, this is why this is so crazy. So your parents are a little bit older than me. It wasn't until 1998 that the debit card, which is, I assume, a frequent tool of yours.
yes.
It wasn't until 1998 that the debit card outpaced check transactions in this country.
That's wild.
It is wild.
It is wild.
Have I ever told you the story about my dad getting mad about the first checks I ordered when I was 16?
No.
This was 1994. Oh,
Hey, I was born.
this is not fun. 1994, I come home from the, I think it was the PNC Bank. It was National City Bank at the time
Yeah,
in
it was.
Claremont, Indiana. What do you mean, yeah, it was? You're an
Because
infant.
we
What do you
had
know?
National City before it was PNC.
So I come home, I just set up my account, I ordered checks, and I got home with them when I came. I was like, Dad, I got my own bank account, I set it up, I got these checks. And I showed them to him, and they were Star Wars checks. They were amazing. Like some of them
had
had
on 'em?
Oh, like a Luke Skywalker.
Little R2?
One had R2 and Yoda, and one had Darth Vader. And I was like, Dad, aren't these awesome? And I remember just his face he made was just of sheer disappointment. I've seen it a lot. And he was like, no one will take you seriously with these checks. And I was like, well, I'm paying them. Well, how seriously do they need to take me? And he was very upset. And so then, like, again, this is 94. And so the debit card was just like sort of coming into itself. Mm-hmm. This is to say one thing, Nicole. Long story to say one thing. You've probably never balanced a checkbook because you never really had a checkbook that you use that frequently, right?
No, I was going to say really the only time I ever use checks is when I've made deposits for rent.
Okay.
Like whatever I'm renting.
Sure.
And for direct deposits to my account.
Yeah. So I think number one, we start there is that the debit card has changed how people balance their checkbook because they don't balance their checkbook.
Yeah, no.
I mean, there truly is no better way to manage money than balancing a checkbook. But as we were talking in the office earlier today, at this point, for me to teach or try to teach someone like you, and by someone like you, I mean someone of your age. I don't mean
millennial.
like someone that has a busted face.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it is technically it was busted, but it's better.
It was pretty busted.
Only you, that's so youthful, can heal a facial injury in like 3 days.
I gotta say, I'm really pumped that it's already as healed as it is.
Yeah.
But I can't lie. Just being all of 5'2", 5'3", and having someone do like a double take at me as I'm walking through a ski lodge with this purple and blue eye.
Sure.
Just flashing him a big cheesy grin.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
You looked like you were like an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
You know? But anyway, it's healed.
Anyways.
For me to try to teach you or anyone else of your ilk,
to
teach you to balance a checkbook, it's just a silly thing. It doesn't even make sense because you don't even have a check register, right?
No, I don't.
And by the way, since I was right on the cusp, even back in 1994, I probably balanced my check register for 2 to 4 years, maybe. And then with the advent of the debit card, which again surpassed check transactions in 1998, it just wasn't practical. And then people started using online registers, like they used Quicken or QuickBooks, depending on if you're a business or an individual. They started using, Mint.com wasn't around then, but there were different websites like that you could do. Microsoft Money was real big. Have you ever heard of Microsoft Money?
I haven't. I didn't even really know it was a thing.
Yeah, I mean those were the hotness back in the day. So from a banking perspective, our habits have changed tremendously. And then, Frank, you get into the idea of like if you're out with friends and someone pays for drinks or something, you can quick pay them or Venmo them or whatever. And in my generation, because we are in different generations, like I just like flip a dude a 20, like, oh, here you go. And then like it's never the exact amount. Someone always really owes someone something.
Yeah.
Well, I'll write you a check. Larry paid for dinner. I'll write you a check. What was our share? It's just like, but you guys just like, and it's done.
To the cent.
To the cent. So that's different, right? Then you look at how a bank markets and interacts with people today. When I was a boy, I didn't feel like I was my bank's prey. Like, and maybe it was naivete of being a 16-year-old man with a normal hairline. And by man, I mean boyish. A soft boy, if you will.
Those soft boys.
I was a soft boy at the time. And I never felt like my bank was trying to get over on me. And I think culturally, that just wasn't the thing. Fast forward, 24 years later.
Here we are.
Yeah, it's just like everything you do when you interact with your bank is you're trying to have this line of defense to think, what are they really trying to get me to do here? Are they getting me to trying to borrow money? Are they trying to get me to save money? Are they trying to get me to use my credit card more so they slip up and owe them interest? And so at some point in time, it definitely within the last 20 years, it's crossed over to from my bank is my advocate to my bank is my adversary. And I think the only place you're going to find any relief to that concept and sentiment is if you're with a credit union, because credit unions don't really act that way, or a small community bank, because they don't necessarily really act that way. It really is the big five banks that come in, or regional banks, and they you feel like they're profit center, which I think 20 years ago, you didn't feel like they're profit center. So culturally, Nicole, you're in a scenario where, still within the last 5 years, you're learning adult money skills, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Of which one of your biggest allies all along, your bank, your advocate, is working against you. And that is also to suggest that consumer brands are doing the same thing. 20 years ago, when you're going to make a decision at Banana Republic or wherever else, choose your favorite, mall brand, they didn't necessarily encourage poor decision-making financially as they do today. Yeah. They would leave it to the individual to decide what makes sense. And they would actually argue today that they're still doing that. They would say, look, just because we offer something doesn't mean that the person has to take us up on the offer, but that is insincere at best.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I think we've touched on this before, but when I worked for a retailer at large, I was 16 or 17 years old asking people if they wanted to register for that retailer's card. Yeah. And then I would hear other people around me telling them that it wouldn't hurt their credit if they were rejected.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely changed. And I guess the idea is there's different income streams that a business has sort of learned that can, even to a retailer, they've got sales, they've got credit card interest when people pay on the cards, and those different sort of marketing alignments and solutions. So then you also look at, I feel like I just need to call. Can we buy a cough button this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's in the budget?
I think so.
I'm just going to cough on Mike. Then you've got technology costs. Okay, so I bought my first cell phone 95, 96, right? Yes. But my monthly bill was like $30 a month because there was no data.
Yeah, that data.
I mean, if I wanted to get a document to someone, I would send a facsimile.
Oh.
Right? And so that was cheaper. Internet, like home internet, whatever, right?
Dial up.
Probably $200 to $300 in technology costs. Netflix and chill, all those sorts of things that exist today that didn't exist then. So even if you just look at the very basics of what you consider to be your utilities or fixed costs, Nicole, I'm guessing you got $250 a month difference between what your parents had at your exact same age.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. My cell phone bill alone is $100 a month.
Yeah.
Just for me.
Well, you like to talk.
I do.
And text Bitmojis and things.
The Bitmojis.
Your gift game is strong. All right, let's do this. Let's take a break, as we've been talking a while. Take a break, come back. We'll hit student loans quickly, and then we're going to go into online banking and why it's the most convenient thing in the world. But as you know, convenience does not always equal smarts. That's all next in the $1 Million Plan. I'm Pedro de Pesos.
Stop what you're doing. Log on and hit Pete up on Twitter at Pete the Planner.
Primo B, man. Kanye let this one go. Man. Sound good to me. I never question the right of any man to voice his opinion as strongly as any can. But then again, many men are citizens of their own little world, so they ain't really fitting in. I'm in the background blending in, camouflaged by the scenery, but I'm a champion. Revamp the camp again, put down the stamp.
Back on the $1 Million Plan, I'm Pete the Planner, joined by producer Nicole. Nicole, hello.
Hello.
Talking about why sort of just our financial realities are different today, specifically for people in their 20s than they were for those same people's parents, and why it is actually more difficult to deal with money because you have so many things working against you. Now Nicole, you do understand that's not necessarily an excuse, but it is a reality.
Yes.
Now you have to succeed in spite of all the things that seem like they're working for you, but they're actually working against you.
Yeah.
There's no better example, I should say, than online banking. Mm-hmm. All you have ever known is online banking.
Absolutely.
Do you remember your first online banking account?
Yeah.
Was it in 2011?
It was.
Oh my gosh.
I had the virtual wallet.
Okay, so PNC customer.
Aw.
Do you remember? Okay, so do you remember interacting with it? It probably from the way your mind had developed through school and technology and the use of computers. It made all the sense in the world, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, absolutely. It was great and it was designed for students.
Yeah.
So.
And so here's what's happened. Online banking, again, in my estimation, is one of the greatest convenience financial tools that has ever been built. You can, more or less at any point in time, jump in, see what your balance is, see what's sort of floating out there in terms of uncleared transactions, and get a snapshot of what's going on in your life. So much so, and Nicole, I think this was probably right in your sweet spot about 2011 or so. Do you remember, did you watch a lot of TV as a teen?
Kind of.
You were probably out having a social life. I was just at home going, oh, I love Seventh Heaven. Like, I don't know.
Say, we watched a lot of The Office.
Yeah. So do you remember there was a Chase commercial specifically where a guy was out shopping for televisions. The store was supposed to look like on TV like it was Best Buy.
Okay.
But, you know, Chase is not going to have a guy at Best Buy.
Yeah.
It's just a nameless TV store. And he's looking at two price tags, and he's trying to decide to buy, I'm making this part up, $1,700 TV or a $1,200 TV.
Yeah.
And you can see the guy's perplexed. Either that or he had not had enough fiber. You don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know.
You
You're
can't
just
call it.
watching TV,
Yeah.
just trying to watch The Office. And so then he pulls out his Motorola Razr or whatever, and he text banking with Chase, and then he gets his balance that's in his account like that. Mm-hmm. And this was supposed to represent this idea that, like, oh, this guy's making a good decision. He's making sure he's not overspending. And my theory has always been, since the moment I saw that commercial, because I was a full-grown man when that commercial came out.
No more soft boys.
I was not a soft boy. We'll get to the soft boy origin here in a few minutes. I just remember thinking, if you have to check your balance to see if you can afford something, you can't afford it.
No, absolutely not.
Do you remember a friend named Trevor?
Yeah, he was kind of, well, I
take
wouldn't
it
go as
easy.
far as friend.
Okay, an acquaintance.
Yeah.
I had a
he
good
class.
friend named Trevor. We called him T. T. And in college, our freshman year specifically, after a night of what college kids do,
Shenanigans.
We would, someone would responsibly drive us into Upper Madison. I went to school at Hanover College in Southern Indiana, the alma mater of both the governor of Indiana, Eric Holcomb, and the vice president of the United States, Mike Pence, and actor Woody Harrelson. Why I felt the need to give any of those people. Also, alma mater of Sarah Keene Dunn, me wifey. Anyway, we would go in Upper Madison. There was a bank on the way to Taco Bell. It was like 2 a.m. So this is 1996, fall of 96. T would have whoever was driving stop at the bank. I think it was like Ohio River Valley. I don't even know the name of the bank, whatever. Stop at the bank so he could check his balance to see if he could afford a number 2 or a number 4, because the 4 was the Mexican pizza, I believe.
Ooh.
Right? With like a Mexi Melt or something. But 2 was just like 2 chicken tacos and like a handshake. It wasn't much. You didn't get much. And whether they washed their hands or not, I don't know. It was Upper Madison. And but that's like that's just what has happened now with online banking. People check their balance to see what is there before they spend it. And again, you're listening to this, you're like, yes, that's exactly what I do, and there's nothing wrong with that. No, you're wrong, sir.
I was just going to go, stop it.
It's okay, here's the deal. If you check your resources every time before you spend said resources, you will spend more resources because you were thinking, oh, I'm just letting myself so I can make a responsible decision. No, for 1,000 different reasons. Mm-mm. Because what it does is it forces you to say, oh, there's more resources than I thought. I'm going to spend more than I planned. And why that happens, there's a lot of different reasons. Number one, let's say you don't share money with someone. It's just you. There's the idea that a transaction may not have cleared right away, right? There's also the idea if you're spending on a weekend that maybe an automatic debit that comes out of your account for a payment that you had set up doesn't come out until Monday. And so you see a lot of overdraft charges on Mondays and Tuesdays because sometimes, banks get wonky with how they clear transactions through the weekend. Uh-huh. Like, there's a reason for that, right? Because they're just gorging people with overdraft fees. And then if you share money with someone and you have the same account, let's say I'm in Baltimore like I was this week, and be more stand up. I don't know. I still haven't figured out a cool way to greet a city I'm in. Be more stand up. Where you at? I don't know.
That went as well just now as it did on Twitter.
Yeah, right. It just doesn't go well. So I was in Baltimore, and like, let's say I'm spending some monies, and Mrs. Planner's back on the homestead spending some monies.
Some money.
And it's getting lower. It's getting lower. And let's say she goes on. I'll be the bad guy here. Let's say I go on and I'm about to buy a new tuxedo in Baltimore.
Ooh, you're feeling flashy.
I did just get a new tux, but it's not in Baltimore anyway. So I got this new tux. Let's say I bought it in Baltimore, but I check my balance to see if I can afford it, and then I make this transaction, and then it just crushes whatever Mrs. Planner's trying to do at home. Separate issue, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because two people are going on the same account.
Oh.
I believe the proper amount of time to check your online banking purchases is about twice a month. I don't have a horrible problem with people getting a morning email update with their balance, but I think if you balance spend is what we call it, where you consistently check your balance to then decide how many resources you have, it goes back to this toilet paper thing we talk about a lot. If you go in the restroom and there's a full roll of TP and you acknowledge that as you're seated, you will use more TP on that particular transaction, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you are in there and after it's too late, you look over and you see cardboard, your behavior shifts, that is shifts with an F, it shifts, and in that moment, you're gonna use fewer resources because fewer resources are available, yet nothing else has changed except your behavior and your reaction to those resources, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So that's what happens. That is what happens. And that's what happens in your financial life. It's like if you go to your grandma's house and it's Thanksgiving, one of those holidays you celebrate, the Feast of the Epiphany. I don't know why you're there.
Or Thanksgiving.
And there's a little candy dish filled with M&Ms. Mm-hmm. And let's say it's a big candy dish. You're going to grab more M&Ms than if it's just a little bit of candy dish that's got like 7 M&Ms in it. You're not going to take them all.
Yeah, you can't be that person.
I mean, some people listening right now are like, I would take grandma's last M&Ms.
Oh, no.
Most people affect the number of resources they utilize based on the number of resources available. It's only natural, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go a little bit further here.
Okay.
Let's take us back to 1985.
Ooh.
Were your parents married at this point?
Nope, they got married in 89.
Okay. 1985. So they're just out loving life at this point because they're not married. It's great.
Yeah.
And let's say they, they wake up in the morning. They didn't check their checking account balance. It's not like they woke up and like right before your dad feathered his hair or whatever. It's not like he found his check register and looked to see what the balance was so he could start his 1985 day. Did he do that? No. But what do we do today? Like we feel like we have to be so informed about our financial lives in 1980 or 2018. Yet we had less data in 1985. I can't talk. In 1985, yet we made better financial decisions.
Yeah.
No one broke away from their desk midday in 1985 from their green screen computer and reached in their Jordache purse and checked their check register just so they knew their balance.
Just for funsies.
91%. Frank, this is a real statistic.
Yeah.
91% of people check their checking account balance while at work. Why? You're at work. All right. I've checked my checking account balance when I work. By the way, it's not like I'm perfect here. Frank, you've checked your checking account balance when you've been at work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You know what? You know who didn't do that when they were your age?
My mom and dad.
Right. Do you think? Well, let's not ask about your mom and dad's financial habits. Let's not do that.
Okay.
But I would just say this. Generally speaking, and I can't prove this to. Actually, I could prove it to you with savings rates and all and debt ratios and all this sort of thing. People made better decisions with their money in 1985 with a heck of a lot less information.
Yeah, they did.
Because they had to know the information. If you have to check your balance all the time, why? You just checked yesterday. Why do you have to check today? You should know.
Yeah, no. That's like really the only times that I'm ever truly checking my balance is every couple of days or so to make sure that there's not any bogus charges.
Sure, bogus charges.
Yeah, bogus charges. And then every couple of weeks when we get paid or so because I move my money around.
Yeah, you're a shell game with your money.
Yeah.
Let's take
myself first.
I'm all fired up. Let's take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about, okay, so look, it's now harder to be a good financial consumer. Not easier, harder in 2018 than it was in 1985 or 1994 or whatever. It's just harder in these last 20 years. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to fix that. And also, I guess I have to tell you the origin of the soft boy story. And we didn't touch on student loans either. By the way, Today's generation of 20-somethings have more student loans than their parents did. Therefore, it is more difficult. So we covered that in, 3 seconds?
Yeah, we did it.
Let's take a break. This is the $1 Million Plan. I'm Pete the Planner.
Yeah. Axe hand on the beat. Yes, sir. Glass House. Yes, sir. Mr. Kinetic, Rusty Redenbacher. ATFU. Naptown. Yeah. Peace to Betty and Fredo. Helicopter choppers. Yeah, y'all ain't hip yet. Cashing in like the end of the game at the casino. I lean so the glare of the rear view don't hit me. Swiftly through the avenues and boulevards. Old soul playing on my speakers. Old soul but young in age, a boss player. Not from the Himalayas, but my fam gave me Gary.
All right, back on the $1 Million Plan. It was different when I was a boy edition of the show. Look, the financial realities of young 20-somethings are so different than their parents for 1,000 different reasons, right?
Yeah.
So I promised the origin of the story, Soft Boy story. So my son, Ted, 5, who he's been on the show, right?
Yeah.
Introed us one time. We're all hanging out, my wife and I, and Fred, Ted. And he asked my wife if she liked big, hairy mans like me, like Peter, like dad. Do you like big hairy mans like dad or soft boys like me? Because Ted's a soft 5-year-old boy. And my wife, not helping the cause here at all, said, I like soft boys like you. And then Ted's like, see, soft boys is where it's at, so.
Soft boys.
So no one cares. Okay. So let's look at, I'm just going to warn you right now. If you're watching on PeteThePlanner.tv or you're listening on the radio or podcast, in the next several minutes, I'm going to sneeze. And I do not have a cough button. Yet. And I mean, we could be talking about absolute tragedy to your ears. I don't know what to do. Okay. Deep breath to see if that helps. Probably just sucked in more dust. Oh. It's inevitable now. Okay.
Isn't there something like you're supposed to look up and like mouth a word or something and it's supposed to help you sneeze? Am I...
Look up and mouth a word?
I don't know. Have I totally lost it? What the heck
does that mean?
I feel like you're supposed to like look up or something.
I
don't know.
Okay.
We're going to have to Google.
Let's not. That sounds like... Okay. Here's ways to fix the reality that your financial life now is so different than it was for the same people your age 20 years ago. Number 1, it's actually an old school solution. Okay. So this worked in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the teens, which is where we's at now. And it works. It always works. And it's not balance your checkbook, which, by the way, works, but it's not practical. This is practical and it works. Have a money meeting. Have a money meeting every month. It's not hard. Mrs. Planner and I went to lunch today, Frank. A little day date with my lady.
The day date.
No kids, just she and I rapping. I don't know what they have. And we were talking about money. We had to get some stuff to talk about, so we talked about it, right? And it's done. We won't talk about it for another 30 days at least.
Oh, that feels so good.
You got to talk about money. You have to talk about money, especially if you share finances with somebody. You got to talk about it because you have to understand that there are so many more draws of our money today. Like so many people are like demanding our money and wanting us to set up all these auto deposits and all these different things. The reality is, unless you talk about it and get on the same page, it will burn you. It is designed to burn you. Do you ever feel like if something bad happens to you from a cash flow perspective, Nicole, it's because of a lack of true awareness as to what's really happening?
Oh, yeah. Just because it's one of those, I don't have, for the most part, a tangible, other than a debit card, or while I'm looking at my online banking statement, that's all just a screen in front of me. Rarely do I ever actually have cash or, me balancing a checkbook.
People be disconnected with money. People be. Okay, the next one, this is not going to be good, especially if when we go to break here on the radio, a bank commercial plays. You have to ignore bank marketing. That's step number 2. You have to. Now, if you bank at a credit union or a small community bank, listen to them. They're probably your friends. But if you don't, if you bank at a big bank, I've got some accounts at big banks. I got accounts at small banks. Ignore every piece of big bank marketing. Every single one. Not a single one is there to move you forward financially. Nicole, can you check create very profitable bank relationships off of our projects for 2018 list?
I will be sure to cross that.
Because I'm pretty sure it just crossed itself out.
I was going to say.
If someone cares to prove me wrong on this, email me, Pete, you're wrong again. Okay, is the subject line. Pete, you're wrong again, and preferably with the right use of your. Ask Pete at PeteThePlanner.com. Ask Pete, or just tweet the planner. PeteThePlanner.com, or at PeteThePlanner. Okay, number 3 ways. Third solution. Third tool to solve all this. If your parents weigh in, so Nicole, I'm really talking to someone in your situation here. If my parents weighed in on my financial life, I'm like, thanks a lot. Because I'm 40 years old. Yeah. And not that you're not a grown woman, but you're 24.
I still call mom and dad before I make a big purchase over like $100.
Right, I don't.
Yeah,
my parents call me. After you've switched roles, it doesn't matter. If your parents weigh in, help them understand the difference between when they were your. This isn't being condescending or passive aggressive or anything like that. It's just like, mom and dad, when you were my age, how was your financial life different than mine? And then as you start to walk through and identify it, what you're going to notice, all the things we talked about in the first segment, spending, banking habits, way people market to you, tech costs, student loans, all different. All different. So it's not the same thing. It's well, you should try this. Based on what? Were you a 24-year-old in 2018? No. And that's not that they don't know what they're talking about, but and not specifically, I'm not even talking about your parents. I'm talking about anyone this age. Your parents actually don't know what they're talking about to be 24 when they were your age. They just don't.
Nope.
No chance. They don't know what it's like to be 24 in 2018. Mm-mm. It's like, well, it's the same thing. It's the same principles. People don't have the same sensibility. True. Yeah. But it has nothing to do with it.
I think my favorite thing, too, is when adults will try and make note of that. A lot of millennials have or are making a larger salary than they were at that time. But at the same time, we're paying more student loans. Sure. And exactly like you said, like I probably have $200 to $250 more a month that I'm accounting for.
When I was a boy, gas was 97 cents a gallon. Next, stop looking at your checking account balance. Stop. Frank, how many times a week do you know what your balance is?
I check it maybe once or twice.
Really?
But it's not, it's like I said, it's not for me to see exactly how much money I have in my account at that time. It's me making sure that I'm not getting charged anything weird.
So that's right. So you're doing it right.
Yeah. So it's not a crutches. Oh, can I spend this $25? No. I, for the most part, have a good between $10 to $15 idea of how much is in my account.
If you've ever looked at your balance twice in one day and not for some specific reason other than it's on and you're about to start spending money, you got a problem. If you look at your checking account balance every single day, you got a problem. And you're going to email me. Well, I do it for bank fraud. Make sure there's no fraud. Oh, well, just wait a day. I mean, you don't have to look every single day. Now, look, if you're legitimately going in there to see if there's fraud and you're not doing it to see what your balance is so you can spend more money, you're in the minority. Maybe older Americans do that, but I don't think a lot of millennials go in there daily to check for fraud. That's a pretty paranoid perspective for a 20-something. And then finally, man, you're going to hate this piece of advice. Now you're going to hate it. Turn off overdraft protection. Turn it off. Turn it off. Which is to suggest if you have money or you have an account and you run out of money, too bad, so sad. Doesn't matter. That will bounce. That transaction will bounce. You will get declined, and you will learn a lesson. That's the way to stop. Peter, I've got $500 in overdraft fees this quarter. You know how you stop that? Turn off overdraft protection and have your stuff bounce. What if it's something that I really need? Do you? If you overdraft that much, do you really need something? Probably not. I think having overdraft protection turned on is a giant mistake. It's also a multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar industry for banks, which is to suggest the more they induce your spending, I hate when I do the they thing. It seems lazy, right? But the more they induce your spending with use your debit card 20 times this month and get blah, 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 they're trying to help you spend too much. They are incentivized to get you to spend too much as opposed to too little. And you shift that paradigm when you turn off your overdraft protection. Do I sound like a grumpy old man today? Because we've had grumpy old man edition. Am I grumpy today?
Gripey old man.
Gripey old man.
I like gripey old man edition.
I feel a little gripey. I feel a little old, but not terribly.
You're just trying to speak to the youths.
The youths.
The youths.
Fitness update as we go to break here.
Yes.
74 days in a row.
Look at you.
I have worked out for at least 30 minutes, generally 45, for 74 days in a row. Feeling good. Mm-hmm. Crispy, clean. Cleaner than a bar of soap, as the kids like to say. Yep. All right, coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week. If you want to complain about this show, email nooncares@PeteThePlanner.com.
One of our unpaid interns will answer.
Yeah, we'll have unpaid interns. Man, how about the hiring blitz we've had here at the PTP headquarters?
Oh, it's very exciting.
Very exciting. We got people. I hired someone the other day, and I was Washington D.C. Flew out there to hire. Anyway, long story. No one cares. You don't care, the listener. You don't care. By the listener, I mean hi, mom. Coming up after the break, biggest waste of money of the week, and whatever else we got. I'm Pete the Planner. $1 Million Plan.
Every day living through the peace of my soul, I remain whole, even in the middle of the pain. Even though my life has the rain, I still remain sane, writing and creating for my life. And my pen is my sword given by the Lord, and I use it to fight the tides of restriction. Sometimes I'm conflicted, find myself looking at the trees too much and can't see the forest. Enemy shall inherit the earth, and I want to inherit something other than the high blood pressure and diabetes. So work is what I gotta do. Stay true to my enemy and water the trees that I sing from, and look out for the lumberjacks running with the gale force wind at my back. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm. Swift and enduring, I remain calm.
Back on the $1 Million Plan, we're like totally out of time. I totally talked too much. Frank, it was so good to have you back on the show this week.
It's been fun.
We've been having subpar guests like my daughter, Ollie.
Oh, yeah.
If you missed that episode, go to PeteThePlanner.tv. You can watch it, or go to the podcast at, I don't know, we have a podcast, $1 Million Plan. This week's biggest waste of money of the week, which we don't have much time for, but we're going to do anyway, is, Nicole, I'm on the fence about this. It's the RX bar. You know those bars that are at the coffee shop below us downstairs? Yeah. Like they always like, they have the ingredients in the front. 3 egg whites, 6 almonds, 4 cashews, 2 dates, and no BS. That's what it says on there. Do you like them?
I don't know. I've never tried them. I've
Really?
heard that they're a little tough.
They're a little tough, and I have to be super hungry, but they're really healthy. I mean, you get 12 grams of protein in it, and there's like no garbage in it, no sugar, no
BS.
added sugar, no BS.
No
But
BS.
sometimes I had one the other day. It kind of tasted like there was BS in it. Like it was like dark. It wasn't great.
I saw you eating it the other day.
It was like I was cringing.
Yeah.
But they're good. I don't know. Okay,
Those cashews.
It was cashews. Oh. All right, that's it. We're out of time. Next week on the show, we're going to talk about things.
Lots of things.
Okay, so that's it. Sending good vibes, because good vibes are all this in the budget. I'm Pete the Planner. This is $1 Million Plan.
If you want to be on this podcast and have Pete fix your money life, then hit us up at PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. You heard me. PeteThePlanner.com/podcast. Log on.
This is for information purposes only. It's not the Swiss financial planning device. Consult a financial advisor.
Dove released from Everest, the fresh is fresh, and you can call me E.T. Word to John Tesh. Let me bless this harmonic presentation. It's amazing, so amazing. I'm the reason. Salutations, I bring you love, Tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings. Salutations, how you doing? And is that how y'all say it? The tinkling of the keys is an homage to the little star. I sojourn over poetic descriptions of sound and travel to my other world. Out of this world, spaceship on my arm took me home, fueled by the ink and the megabytes and the hypertext transfer protocol, stronger than the Skynet and the Terminator. I push faders into warp speed, glide with ease, creating a breeze they call a black hole. Event horizon, no rear view concerns. This I adjourn, and beats I burn. this I adjourn, and beats I burn. Salutations, I bring you Love-Tron greetings from a faraway land. I am the sole controller. Put the remote down and let me take control. You're now a part of my zone, so enjoy yourself. Love-Tron can restore your health. I bring you greetings, salutations. How you doing? And is that how y'all say it?